Let me start over. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the end of the first week of class, the first week of the course, and to the end of the first unit. Intellectually, we've been together for 3 weeks now. Today represents days 13, 14, and 15, which is pretty unbelievable. And we're at a point where it's time to collect all of your knowledge from the first unit and put it together in the form of a project. The project that I've designed for you is meant to reward those of you who've been working really hard all week and to give those of you who are behind a chance to get caught up. You're going to be putting your best work from the week together into the form of a report. A report is the most important piece of writing that they do at colleges. Now, I know this is a university prep course and you might think, well, why am I doing college prep writing? Well, it is an expectation that this course should also prepare you for college in case that ends up being your route, whether out of high school or in the future if you go university to college. That happens a lot these days. Not because people fail out, but because people want to specialize to make themselves more competitive in certain fields. So I'm going to be signing a report that's pretty loose. It's not going to be a really strict, as far as formatting goes, or I shouldn't say formatting, as far as content goes, it's not going to be like an evaluative report or a progress report. It's just going to be a basic report. And really the essence of a report is a formal document that looks professional. So back in the first lesson, I asked you to do that assignment with the table with all the terms and the terminology and concepts that we wanted to review and be able to use in common practice. And I asked you to format that professionally. So that was the foreshadowing of this aspect of the report. You're going to be creating a document. You're going to be using some formatting techniques to make it look professional and look attractive to an audience. So what's going to be in this report? Well, I'm looking at the assignment sheet right now, and there are going to be 6 sections in the report. And out of those 6 sections, the only thing that's new is the overview. Every report starts with an overview, just like every essay starts with an introduction. But instead of being an introduction paragraph that introduces like a thesis statement and starts foreshadowing the arguments that are going to be presented throughout the essay and then transitioning into the first argument, an overview is a summary paragraph. If you've written a summary paragraph, you can write an overview. So you're going to be writing a quick summary of what you have learned in the first week. That's going to be the beginnings of your report. Then you are going to show me that you can analyze a poem for the literal meaning. So you have done this with The Passing of Arthur, and you have done this with The Lady of Shalott, and you have in a sense done this pretty much with every poem that you've seen so far in this unit. But I would suggest not reinventing the wheel. If you put your heart and soul into analyzing The Passing of Arthur, use that one. If you did a better job with Lady of Shalott, use that one. Use your best quality work, polish it up, make it your best, and add it to the report. After you can show me the literal meaning, I of course want to see that you can show me the underlying meaning. And for both of these activities, I'd like to see that step-by-step, side-by-side approach that I had in my exemplar. Now, I forgot something. I forgot that when you see things online, it's in HTML, which makes the tables that I used invisible. So for some of you, I could tell by the documents you submitted, you started trying to use text boxes and stuff, that you had a hard time figuring out how to do that side by side. It's very simple. You insert a table that's got 2 columns, and you put the poem in one, and then you can just use the other side to show your analysis, picking out the details and things. Then the third one is going to be the underlying meaning, showing me that inductive approach where you begin after figuring out the literal meaning, you think about it, you try to figure out what is that sort of essential truth or like that deeper meaning or feeling that the author wants to convey. You grab onto that, you explain it, and then you go through the poem and you pick out the details that back up your assumption. The fourth section is going to show me your ability to apply literary theory to a text. So I demonstrated this with Mariana, and then you did it with two of Tennyson's poems. The choices were Tears, Idle Tears, Tithonus, and The Charge of the Light Brigade. Most of you chose to do The Charge of the Light Brigade, and there was sort of like an equal number of choices, people doing the other two. You're going to choose your best one, and you're going to show me that you can apply several theories to it. Section number 5, you're going to show me that you can use terminology when discussing poetry. So now, for any of these activities, you can use whatever poems you want to, but this one asks you to use terminology while discussing that you like a particular poem. So I asked you in lesson 3 to decide which one you liked more. Did you like I Lost My Talk, or did you like the song My Paddle Sings? And there seems to be kind of like an equal number of people who took the different sides. So you're going to choose a poem and you're going to explain what you like about it using terminology. Now, don't just throw terms in for the sake of using them. And some of you, when I was looking at your discussion post, some of you, I did get the sense that you were just sort of tacking some terms on there because I said, use, I think 3 or 4. But what I would like you to do is to use terminology for a purpose, all right? Use it purposefully and explain what you like about the poem using that terminology, picking out things about the style, picking out things about the structure, and picking out device usage. The last section of the report is going to have to do with the work from today. So today you were assigned to, because I'm doing this video the night before, today you were assigned to go through the poetry of the different literary eras and to respond to it. And there was some choice involved, but if you did all of today's work, you should have a response to at least one poem from every literary era. So you're going to choose your 4 best, one from each era, and you're going to polish those up and you're going to add those to your report. So that covers what's going to be in your report. Now let's talk about what your report is going to look like. Okay, I have this up on my computer screen and I know this is really bad quality, but you just need to get the gist of this. This is a report that I use as an exemplar for a grade 11 college prep English class that I teach. And the first thing that you're going to see here, it's wobbling a bit. First thing you're going to see is that the report starts with a title page. Scrolling down to the next page, you're going to see that this report indeed starts with an overview, which is a short summary of what the report is going to be about. And you see that it then goes into the first section, which this one is on family values. Yours is going to be on the interpreting the literal meaning of a poem. So you can see that the text is formatted. If you know what justified alignment is, the text is formatted with justified alignment. You'll see that there's certain things you can do with reports that you can't do with essays. So for example, you're allowed to use bullet points in reports, and you can see the beginnings of a picture down there in the family values section. Those are things that you can't put in essays, but you can put them in reports. And of course, the fact that you can break your report up using headings is something that you definitely cannot do with essays. Showing you another example of design. So this is a table that is part of this particular report. And you'll see that some subtle coloring has been used, some shading actually. Looking at the header row of that table, you see that the background has been changed to black and the text has been changed to white. And what that does is it just makes the header of that table stand out a little bit. If I wanted to, I could even add some contrast this way by highlighting the table and adding a little bit of subtle color. So like if I wanted to use this color for one side and use this color for another side. And so maybe my table looks a little bit better this way. So there you have it. You're going to be creating a report to showcase your best work, and that is what your assignment is. The assignment sheet has been posted at this point up on Desire to Learn. You can look at the assignment sheet either as online text. I published it to the web, and I also have it available for download. For a lot of you, you'll find that you're going to build this report actually pretty fast because you've already got everything that has to go in it. Your whole rough draft is done, and you're just packaging it. And that's great. Take your time to proofread and revise. Go through my rubric. I always make my own rubrics, and I make them very specific. So you get to see exactly what I'm marking. I believe there are 12 criteria in total that I'm marking, and you can see what they are. And the way that my rubric is designed is it shows you exactly what you need to score level 3 for any given criteria. So if you're shooting for a 4, go further, all right? Do something to impress me, and that's how you score a 4. Other than that, what you should be working on is making sure that you have your first reading of Heart of Darkness done. So as grade 12 students, you should be able to read a novella the size of Heart of Darkness over the course of a week in your spare time. I know that everything is condensed, and I know that I do ask a lot of you, but trust me, I'm asking a lot of you because I know that you can do this, and I want to push you so that you get better and stronger at the things that you do. So finish this assignment and try to get Heart of Darkness read, because if you have it read, then everything is going to go so much better for you next week, all right? I always like to think of reading as doing house painting. If you've ever painted a room of a house, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Imagine having a room where you're going to paint a light color over a dark color. So you do your first coat of paint because you're too cheap to buy primer, like me. And you paint over it, and you notice that the dark color still shows through. So you wait for it to dry, and then you put another coat on. And the second time you put a coat of paint on, it's a bit better, but maybe not perfect. So you maybe have to do that third coat of paint. And by the time you put that third coat of paint on, then all that's going to be left in terms of that old color is going to be just, little bits and pieces in the corners of the rooms, like hard to get to places where you didn't quite get enough coverage. My analogy is this. You start not knowing anything about Heart of Darkness. So you make a roadmap for yourself. That's your first coat of paint. So if you watch the Sparks notes for Heart of Darkness, you make your first coat of paint, you have a basic understanding and a roadmap to approach this text. Then an actual reading is your second coat of paint, right? Approaching next week with that second coat of paint already done, and the third coat is going to go on very, very well. But if all you have going into next week is just, 10 minutes invested in watching the Sparks notes, then you're going to find that you're going to miss a lot of what you should catch. And catching things when we do our reading is going to be the key to success on that assignment. So it's time well spent. The more time you put in, now to get that reading done, the better everything is going to go for you next week. All right, make sure that you get in touch with me if you have any questions about the assignment. I would love to help you out. And even though I'm not supposed to be on the clock for the weekend, I am going to be available by email, so by all means, drop me a line if necessary. Best of luck, but you don't need luck if you've got the skills.